The Bite Me podcast is coming right up, and it is brought to you every week right here on YouTube by Freedom Boats. It is the best shallow running boat on the water, and there is a model perfect for you. The Chiquita 14, the Eagle 16, the Patriot 18, the Commander 21, the beautiful Warrior like I have 23, or the big boy that runs so shallow, the General 26. Chet Moore and Pooty can customize it however you'd like, and there's a dealer near you, whether it's the Boatyard in Kemah or dealerships in San Antonio, Beaumont, Corpus Christi, Port O'Connor, Houston, and Aransas Pass. Freedom Boats or freedomboatsusa.com. All I know is Captain Dean said, God dang, he's excited about his drink, his cold beverage, and today's Bite Me episode. This is the Bite Me podcast. Captain Caleb has all his limbs intact. I asked before the show, he didn't vomit when he was going 100 and whatever miles an hour, 110, 120 miles an hour in that race. But we'll get to all that. Captain Scott has got a little tarpon fever right now. He's going to be running about 10 minutes late. But let's get started. We got a lot to cover. Let me show you something real quick for those who are on the YouTube channel. And by the way, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. You can certainly, I want you to subscribe to the podcast because that's where people can listen to us anytime, anywhere, Podbean, iTunes, Spotify. The group page is highly, highly recommended. In fact, even more so now than ever because we got stuff like this that we're showing on the group page. How about that? A little, I think that's a 35. That's one of the donations for the feeding frenzy from Nocera Paradise, fishingnocera.com. And I have in my hand the certificate that somebody is going to win to get that trip that includes, and I'll read it right here, in-house breakfast and cleaning for the whole week, half-day, 5-hour fishing trip, guided safari tour for up to 4 people, snorkeling, kayaking, horseback riding, fishing, etc., and valued at about $2,000. I think I put $2,500 on there because that's what I thought it was. But we're getting stuff coming in, man, hot and heavy for the Bite Me feeding frenzy. In fact, so hot and heavy that if you look on the group page, I posted the latest donations, live auction, silent auction. We'll go through a few of them, not all of them, because we got some fishing to talk about today. But right before I came on air, I got 4 more, just like that. Boom, boom, boom. 4 more donations. 2 fly rods, 3 conventional rods valued at $3,000 from Colin Zillick, and sawgrass rods. He said, sure, man, what do you need? And I said, it's up to you. And he came through with about $3,000 worth of fishing rods from Sawgrass. You know how I feel about Sawgrass. How about our old friend Michael O'Krolick from Knock and Tail? Various packages, all kinds of packages of Knock and Tail shrimp, Knock and Tail corks. He might even have some new Knock and Tails that are going to be released, released at the Feeding Frenzy. And our guy, Randy Nickerson. Caleb, you know Randy pretty well. Two Laguna custom rods were donated about 5 minutes ago, and 2 Liquid Series rods were donated a few minutes ago. And they just keep coming in and in and in. The Boatyard is going to put together some packages. I haven't gotten the exact details on that. But if you want to see everything that is going to be involved, there is reason to go to the Feeding Frenzy. September 20th, go to the Bite Me group page on Facebook. You can RSVP. You can get what I think Caleb said this, and he was 100% right. You're not going to find better odds anywhere to win a boat.
Everybody needs to start saving their lunch money now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
I've seen the list, and it is crazy, man. So, yeah. Save your lunch money and buy lots of tickets.
Buy lots of tickets. You can do all that on the group page. Scott's joining us now. Scott, I just texted Colin. These things are still coming in, man, all over the place. And I said, hey, you said you wanted to be a part of the Feeding Frenzy. And he said, how about 2 fly rods and 3 conventional rods valued at about $3,000? So that'll play. That'll play. Laguna came in. All kinds of others came in, but I'm not going to go through the whole list. You can go to the group page and see it. But just back to the raffle. The raffle has 4 items, soon to be 5. I'll let you know on that. 4 items, including the best odds you'll ever get at winning a $65,000 boat, 2026 Freedom Patriot 21 with a Coastline trailer, Suzuki 140 horsepower motor. The Power Pole Marine Smart Charger is going to be raffled. A voucher for the Gulf Eagle party boat out of Port Aransas, plus a $200 gift card. Bite Me logoed cooler filled with all kinds of goodies and stuff. And you can see all the live auction stuff. Like I said, I'm not going to read it all, but I highly recommend you get there. So what's going on, boys? We can start any number of places, but I think I want to start right here where we usually do. And we've been tending to skip over it or put it in the middle of the show. where were you, how you did, and what you noticed, because I think all three of you guys were on the water pretty soon, including pretty recently, including Scott about 20 minutes ago was on the water. If I know him, and getting back to the ramp. But Dean, I'm gonna start with you because I think we're gonna call where were you, how you did, and what you noticed. Hey baby, que paso this week, because we had a fishing tournament. Everybody wants to know. They were commenting on the group page. You had a fishing tournament with your wife, my wife, and my daughter. And I'll be damned, they did pretty dang well. But I did disrupt you once, and I didn't know that one of our listeners was on the shoreline. So I came in blaring,
so
"Hey
glad.
baby, ¿qué pasó?"
I was so glad that dude was cool with that, because when that happened, I was like, man, this dude is gonna be so pissed. Kayak on the shoreline, wade fishing, throwing a fly rod. I'm sure he was enjoying his zen moment there for a minute. And I eased up. I mean, I was fishing off the drop off, so I eased up. I mean, I creeped up there, as to not bother him or infringe on his space. And then here comes John, 40 miles an hour. Hey baby, que paso, cranking. And I was like, man, this dude is fixing to start throwing rocks at us, man. And yeah, it turns out later he found the whole thing to be quite entertaining and humorous. So
thank goodness.
Which doesn't happen very often. So
what's interesting to me is how many people in the comments clearly have never listened to an episode because they have no idea who the characters of this show are. Y'all plumb pissed the comment section off.
Yeah. I mean, that was even from the context of that. Oh, well, no, that was unrelated. That was the where I burned John with the drive-by.
Yeah.
And so the whole way the way that thing played out, we were done. Everybody's going home. And I even took off, and I thought, I said, this will be funny. I stopped the boat. I called John. I said, get your camera ready. I mean, the whole thing was contrived. And he posted the video, and then people, I mean, in the context of it, I thought it was self-explanatory.
What an a-hole.
When you tag the dude that burned you, it's probably not particularly hard feelings.
This is true. He came within 20 feet. I mean, like easily. I mean, he buzzed me. We could feel the wake on the boat I was going. But we'll get to more of that. But Scott, you were literally where you were, what you did, how you know what you noticed 20 minutes ago. I'm guessing you were on the water.
Yeah, I found out my new boat will go 48 miles an hour or 48.3 miles an hour.
When you're running late.
So what happened?
We were out there messing with the tarpon, and time got away from me a little bit, and some good listeners. And we pulled up we'd been chasing them on the beach, and they just wouldn't act right. They're all just moving. They weren't feeding. And so I got back to the Jetties, and we pulled up there just to kind of end the day, see if we could catch one of those juveniles. And man, all of a sudden, a whole bunch of them started rolling behind the boat, and we're casting at them and couldn't get them to eat. And then we said, all right, I got to go. And then they'd roll again. And then, all right, I got to go. And then they roll again, right next to the boat. I mean,
we've all been there.
So it was one of those, I can make it. I can make it. If a few more casts, I can make it. If they'd have hooked one, I'd have been really late.
He's like, they'll be all right without me.
Yeah, I mean, it's tarpon. They'll understand.
Yeah. So what'd you see, man? It's the first real good day you get out there.
Yeah, I mean, we went and hammered on jacks early, and the jacks were just blowing up at the Jetties. It was all top water, popping, and doubles, and I think we had a triple at one point, broke one off. I don't know. We broke a rod. It was typical jack fishing,
Broke a rod.
That's just the way jacks are, man. They're big and they're mean. These were some of the biggest jacks I've ever seen. I mean, they were absolutely monsters, just big old jacks, and just crushing top waters, 5, 6, 7 of them at a time coming to eat a top water. And they didn't even have to be blowing. They didn't even have to be blowing up when it was happening. You could just throw it out there and just start popping.
Yeah.
Just in the general area where they had been. And it would draw them up. I could see them on my screen. Yeah, they were all hanging at like 10 feet down. I'd say, okay, boys, just start popping real hard.
Yeah.
And they'd come. They'd call them right back to the top. Then the beachfront was dead flat. It was 0.8 at 8 seconds.
Ooh.
Is
Ooh.
awesome.
That is dead flat.
Yeah, we went way down the beach, found some bait, big bait schools, and slowed down in that and started seeing tarpon in there. They were on the move. I don't know what they were doing, but they'd get up and just start going. And I've told people on here before, if you start seeing them greyhound like that and you're paralleling them and they're doing 5, 6, 7 miles an hour,
Yeah, they're
you're
gone.
going to catch them.
Yeah.
So we tried it. We did some Hail Marys, got in front of them, and they just swim around the boat and keep going. But it was fun. The guys had never seen tarpon before, so they had a good time with that.
Oh, that's just fun by itself.
What was the water clarity like?
It's pretty good. You see, not great, because we had that west wind. It wasn't sandy though, but it was that real pretty green, all the way up on the beach. And you can see the third and fourth bars.
Okay,
pretty easy. So,
is it ready for a 21-foot tower boat out there?
I guess.
Well, I mean, it was a little choppy yesterday. Yesterday was like the tarpon.
Yeah, yesterday was choppy. It was you had that west wind for the last few days. It was blowing right straight down the beach. It wasn't bad, but it was just that constant chop. And I mostly stayed inside the Jetties. Well, yesterday I poled. I had the same guys, 2 of the same guys, had 4 of them today.
Yeah.
But, we went out polling yesterday, and the redfish on top water early we were just hammering it.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Died
so
off
Caleb,
about 10 o'clock, just like we've been talking about. As soon as it got hot, it started slowing down. We had tailing fish, had schools. It was all good. Good stuff.
So, Caleb, you were rubbing your hands together, chomping at the bit to hop in. Was that because of your tower boat or something else?
Yeah, no, man. I have been waiting. It is 60 days late on getting flat in the surf and schools of jacks and bulls and all of that. And I'm looking at the moon phase. It might be time to come plug Scott's boat ramp up a little bit. But the surf was nice this weekend. Larry and them got out, and they were on the jacks and the stuff out just off the beach. And I am pumped. I am ready.
Dude, you and me both. I've been frustrated, man. Dean, I know you have. You got out there and just absolutely hammered them. But I haven't had that chance yet. Even this weekend, we thought it would lay down some, and I'd go out there maybe Sunday or something, and it just was a little too choppy. That west wind that that Scott was talking about.
I'm going tomorrow morning, and y'all got me fired up now.
Dean loves the west wind. West wind's great for you two because
in the bay, but not on the beachfront necessarily.
No, the beach, the west wind makes it flat.
If it's light, but I'm saying it was blowing a little. Yeah. If it's light. So Caleb, tell us about your adventure. I said we're going to be scatter shooting. I got a bunch of bullet points here that you guys texted me about or that we saw. But tell us about your adventure up north.
Well, I mean, were we talking about the adventure where Dean said it was going to be flat and we decided to kingfish for 10 hours?
No, that was last week.
Oh, dang. Man, I've been up in Marble Falls with the JH Boats crew. The people that take care of me and my boats are also boat racing aficionados. And I went with them up to Marble Falls. And man, the tri-hole is super cool. It's like demolition derby in a circle. These guys at 65 miles an hour couldn't care less. They're going to run over each other. It's clearly the dumbest boat drivers in the posse.
This is you saying
wild. But man, Formula One, and I was lucky enough to get to ride with Tim Siebold, who is a legend of driving those things. And it kind of played out like this. I'm just chilling out on the docks. I've got all access passes to everything just because of my affiliation with sport and all that. And I'm chilling out, and I hear, Caleb, it's your turn. I said, for what? all the kids that drive these boats are like 22. Yeah, I am twice that. And anyway, so well, all right, and they gave me a helmet that I think was an extra small for a youth thing, but I got that son of a gun on there, and I'm glad I did for future tailings of this story. And I get weaseled down in there, and man, when they strap you in, the boat ride ain't as bad as the strap in, man. They put you in there, but these things do backflips and stuff, so I understand what we got going on. Yeah. And we get in, and I didn't use this word. I used a different word, but I looked at Tim. I said, "You ever do anything just so your friends don't call you a sissy?" And he kind of laughed a little bit. I said, "Here's the bad news, Tim. You're gonna have to drive this thing like you stole it, because if you take it easy on me, it's gonna be worse than not getting in it at all."
Because we talk for a living.
Yeah, yeah. And so we made a lap, and we didn't just completely air it out on the first lap. He does this first one where he kind of drives around. You see the course, and you got your radios and your comms and everything. He's talking to you and everything. And the cab is like filled with like gas fumes. There's something going wrong with the boat. And so we pull back over there and get up to the dock, and then they have like pit crews, and the pit crew just like jumps on the edges of the boat, and they start digging through the engine compartment and everything. And Tim's probably in his 50s, if not 60s. And so extremely experienced. And he clearly is not comfortable with this situation. At this point, we're like probably a fume bomb of some sort. And then John, my dude, he's the guy that like, put some duct tape on it, it'll be fine. Like these are two totally different ends of the spectrum. And they open the cowling, which the cowling is the entire back of the boat. And I just hear John go, "I don't know where it's coming from, but it's not coming from the engine, so you should be good."
You should.
And Tim clearly isn't happy with the situation, but we're committed at this point. So we shut it down, and the windows like all like they shut, latch, and kind of like have these little side locks. And then we go do another lap, and this thing's filling with fumes, and our eyes are kind of watering. And I found out that being high and speed like really complement each other. And so he airs it out on the first straightaway, and we're running like 110, 120. And so if you feel you can't come off the gas for so many reasons. I learned a lot this weekend. They're turning 8,700 RPMs on average. I mean, our boat is 6,000. We're about to blow this up. They're turning 8,700 for fun. And I guess it's because it's so fast that if you come off of the gas like quickly, your prop comes off. The nut and everything just comes off. Yeah, I saw it happen this weekend. Somebody blew out in front of somebody that came off the gas. They go behind them, start spinning in circles because it loses this prop. So can't come off the gas for that. If it starts standing up in the air, like you can go right now and type in Formula One boat race wrecks. They become kites. There's very little of them in the water when they're hauling butt. And the slightest little breeze will shoot them up in the air, and they go up in the air about 15, 20 feet. Turns out you can't come off the gas when that's happening either. So these are things that were concerning me. And they said the motor, the boat is like crazy loud because of the water rolling on the bottom of it. They said it's when it gets silent is when you should be scared, because there's not water on it anymore. So as long as we were making noise, I felt good about it. So anyway, we light it out down this straightaway, and like I said, 110, 120, something. Who's counting at that point, right? And the fumes, dude. And we got down, and what they do is they don't come off the gas. They trim it down. When they trim it down, it puts the front of the boat in the water. And the front of the boat goes water. You can turn as hard as you want to. And he did just that. And the fumes in the cockpit got way better because I opened my window with my head. Which is why I was glad I had the extra small youth helmet.
Probably not recommended, to be honest.
Yeah. And then I had comms, and I don't think anybody's recording them because all the way around the corner I was going, "F you, Tim." And so I learned after, and I've been watching these boats go for 2 days. I did that Sunday morning. I've been watching them Friday and Saturday. So I knew that corner was coming, but there's no explaining. It's like 6 to 8 G's whenever. And I mean, to put it in perspective, Maverick Top Gun, he was pulling 9 G's and like, oh my God, he's a psycho.
Yeah.
Well, of course, he's doing that for 20 seconds. We were doing it for like 1.5 to 3 hours. I really couldn't tell. But it's a hell of a left turn. After that, I've started doing the whole thing where you flex your butt and hold your breath in all the corners. And I thought that was the bad corner. And then when we got to the other end, and there was a corner I didn't even know about down there, and that son of a gun was terrifying because you're flying straight at the foot of a concrete bridge, and then the concrete bridge is instantly behind you. And Tim's over there just driving along, like, talking through it, like, yeah, jeez.
You flex your butt and hold your breath.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, that's how you fight G-forces, John.
I thought that's how you beat a polygraph. Didn't somebody say that once?
I feel like that might work better for G-forces, but yes, I do remember that.
So I said we'd be scatter shooting. I'm gonna add a couple of other notes here just to kick around. I did have a minor boat ramp confessional we may have to get to, so you guys can give me a hard time. But I do want to know, Scott, did you get? I tried to put out the call. Maybe somebody could help you with your skid steer. Some of the issues you had coming back from the hill country. Get any progress there?
I got multiples. I mean, I got a whole bunch of them on the skid steer stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Got a guy supposed to send me an idea of what it's going to cost.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be sending that to me today or tomorrow. The guys down at JCB at Boss, the ones that came to the skipper. Mm-hmm. He came out to the house, looked it over, and took a bunch of pictures of it, and went back to try to figure out what it might be. But yeah, there's been, I don't know, probably at least 4 or 5 different ones have called and checked in on it and offered to help. Some private guys that are just mechanics, and it's been pretty cool.
Well, that's what our listenership is all about, man. Helping. Speaking of which, Dean, shout out to you for doing the groundwork, and Slickwater came through. So we're gonna have a tent at the Feeding Frenzy this year, so people can kind of hang out. And your guy at Slickwater came through to sponsor that tent, so there's that as well.
Now, yes, we're gonna have shade this year.
We're gonna have shade this year. Hopefully, no rain, but shade this year. All right, so I want to get to Dean real quick. What you where you were, how you did. Forget the tournament. I mean, just some of the things you've been saying, because it's been erratic. At least the days I was there.
I cannot forget that tournament. They burned in my. Now, well, I mean, just the week in general has been kind of typical of summer. Earlier in the week was really tough before the tournament. A lot of tough days. Tournament day, we caught a lot of fish. No contenders, but some good fish. And really fun. I mean, those guys. I tried to quit at 10 o'clock in the morning. I was done. We fished
damn near 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
Yeah.
I mean, and every time I was mentioning, I tried to use it's time for lunch. It's hot, really hot out here. And there were one more spot. So
that's hardcore. That's good.
They did, man. They gave it hell. I give them credit. And we brought fish in. I mean, we brought fish to the scales. But there were a lot of amazing fish. I mean, you were there, you saw them, and there was a lot of redfish that were pushing right at the 28-inch mark. A lot of trout. And the ones that ended up winning were the ones that got the bonus flounder to go with the red and the trout. But so then Sunday, back to normal programming with drifting, throwing top waters on the flats. Had a great day, even a little better. We got the fish on Sunday that we wish we would have had on Saturday, which is kind of the way that story goes. And then yesterday, the flats are the tide is up good again. The tide is up.
Yeah, I noticed
where
that.
The shallowest flats have great water for drifting. I didn't go out today. I had some buddies that were out, just absolutely killed them. Told me there were schools of reds, mega schools of black drum roaming the flats. They said it was just life everywhere. So, trends come and go, but it seems like we're back on a good one. And then just like Scott did today, 0 wind. I'm headed to the Jetties tomorrow. There's just a lot of options this week. You can hit the deeper water for trout, flats for reds, jetties for big game action. So, I mean, it's really good right now.
Yeah, I do want to share this before we get into some of these other topics, because one of my big character flaws, or maybe it's not, is if it's embarrassing to me, I go ahead just to talk about it. You got to lean into it and own it. So when we were fishing, and I was smack in the middle of catching it, I had a really good weekend. I caught a bunch of redfish, nice trout, all that whole nine. But I was smack in the middle of it, and you get excited. So all of a sudden I cast, and I had one of those backlashes that I didn't want to mess with. It was bad. So I ended up cutting it real quick, get the line out, get my cigar. I got that. I love that line. It was my fault that I backlashed. So I cut everything out, wadded up all the lines so I didn't throw it anywhere, put it in my pocket so I can remember to put it in the trash. Got my new line, tied it all up, tied the knot, started reeling to reload the spool, and I'm reeling and I'm reeling and I'm reeling, and then all of a sudden the big wad of stuff that was in my pocket comes up to the front of the reel. I had tied the line that was in my pocket rather than the line I got off the spool. And I went, oh boy, that's another one I'm probably going to have to share with them. So I had this giant wad of line in my pocket, and there was a little strand sticking out. I got the spool, and I got the end, what I thought was the end of the line on the spool, and it was actually, so I'm reeling it all in, and all of a sudden I was like, well, shit.
And you tied a perfect knot.
That was a perfect knot. Oh yeah, I did the leader of the whole 9 yards, man. And so here we go again. I had to do it again all of a sudden, but hey, what are you going to do?
So is that your boat ramp convert?
I said a mini. It's a mini boat ramp confessional. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't know if you had another.
Yeah.
Better. We never know with you, man.
Yeah. I was excited. I was in some fish. I was like, oh yeah, let me tie this on real quick. Oh well, I tied the bad line onto it. Other thing you said, and I want to go around the horn here, because I guess you were listening to my radio show today or something, Dean, and we were talking about how the Texans' offensive line is so bad right now, and the offense is just stinking. That's neither here nor there. But we were talking about like they need to do something to regain their confidence. And Dean texted me and said, that's perfect for the guys. That's perfect for the podcast that our listeners will want to know. And I'm not talking about try this spot or that spot or do this or that. We cover that, and we will again. But like just to regain your mental confidence. It was less than 2 weeks ago, less than 10 days ago, where I didn't have a lot of confidence. I know you guys probably were at least wondering about your confidence because it was so bad, so hot, et cetera, windy, 9, et cetera. So what are some of the things you do to regain your confidence? Because I do have something just kind of get you guys thinking a little bit. A lot of times I always like to wear those dry fit shirts fishing. I used to wear a classic fishing shirt, but usually I just wear that going out. So I'll put on an old school fishing shirt from back in the day, the Columbia or whatever. And I'll just change the style of shirt I have to regain for some reason, it makes me more confident. Like it's old school, but it could be something silly, something like that. But what do you guys do to sort of just regain that mental confidence?
Drugs
help.
It was funny listening to the show today too, with all of the comments that were coming in.
Yeah. Music. One of them was music. I almost said, our favorite song.
And music, of course, music is always one that, we've talked about that before, on the way to the boat in the morning, what do you do to get kind of pumped up a little bit? That's a good one. And it was interesting that today people had so many comments about food and treating yourself to something nice. That was kind of interesting. With me, as far as fishing goes, man, I take a day off. I like to get away from it.
Yeah.
Whenever I'm just like taking ass whipping after ass whipping, I want to get away for a day. And then when I come back, I feel like it's time.
Mm-hmm. Get away and then find like when I get back on the water, it's provided I don't have a trip or something, I've got to lie to people and tell them it's going to be good. But we don't do that ever, right, Scott?
Yeah, never.
No, I'll get off the water and then just wait for something that I like to see, whether it's a tide that I like, whether it's a different moon phase, something like that. Something I can convince myself that I won't suck.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go out there. But man, if I do suck, then it gets tough. Then I guess I get me a new shirt or some shit like that.
Yeah. I go from dry fit to old school fishing shirt. Scott?
I'd go the other way a lot of times. Customers haven't been catching fish, and it's just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go out by myself on a day off and just go.
I've done that. That's a good one.
And start catching fish. And then I realized, well, maybe I don't suck so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe it was them.
No, I've done that, and I'm not a professional, like trying to make sure that the guys catch fish. I just want to change my mojo, One other thing, Scott, is I'm still scatter shooting here before we get into the topics, which is already half the show, but it's been fun. I want to know about that storm yesterday. because you talk about mojo. I'd like to think that I would have always kind of been, which I do pretty regularly, check the radar if there's maybe something on the horizon, or check the radar. But I can't promise you if I was offshore. How far off were you?
I was in the bay yesterday.
Oh, you were in the bay. Okay.
Yeah, we were pulling a shoreline over off Whitaker's, and it's a pretty good run back in, not terribly far.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept looking up there, and I said, man, 0 chance of rain today. Mm-hmm. That's what they kept saying, 0 chance of rain. And I kept looking at it, and the guys were talking about their wives had texted them that they had storms in Houston. And so it's too far away to be seeing any storms coming from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had Dean's voice in my head saying, "Them sure is some funny looking clouds." All of a sudden, we had the self clouds started forming, and I looked at the radar, and it was one of those big bows, just like when Dean and I got caught out there on that deal in the kayaks. When that bow forms out in the front, you know it's coming hard.
Yeah.
And I told the guys, "Say, wrap it up, boys. We got to go."
Mm-hmm.
And we raced in, and I cut every corner that I normally don't cut, and jacked up that motor. And we're flying across, and one of the guys is looking out the side. And Eric, he's kind of leaning over, looking out the side of the boat. He kind of looks back, and about the time we start ticking bottom a little bit, I had jacked all the way up and running full out. And we're ticking bottom. We couldn't have been running 2-3 inches of water in that Sabine. I mean, we were flying across there. And he said, "Did we just touch?" I said, "Yep."
Yeah, we did.
We hit the dock and pulled up sideways to the dock, tied off, and it hit. And I was just looking at it just then. It went from 5 miles an hour out of the southwest to, I think it was 42 miles an hour out of the north.
Jeez.
There were 50 and 60 straight lines in that thing.
It was insane.
Out of nowhere. Completely out of nowhere.
And there was garbage. We were sitting at the dock there at the fishing center, and a rake came flying by from the front of the place and went in the water.
There wasn't a lady riding it.
Tito's got a bunch of life jackets that are loaners that they have sitting on a rack out front. A couple of those went flying by and landed in the water and took off. And 2 garbage cans came flying from around the corner and bounced off the dock, went in the water. There was gravel that was flying. It wasn't just dust. It was gravel buzzing around. It was pretty intense.
I was driving home one day, and there was a sure enough tornado. I think it ended up being like an F2 or an F3 in South Texas, which is crazy. And I'm on the phone with my mom, and I said, "There's a big ass tornado crossing 799." She goes, "Well, stay away from the debris field." And I was like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "If you see like trees and trash cans and stuff flying through the air, don't drive into it." Thanks for the tip, Ma. I'm just about to do that.
I was just about to see what all that stuff flying about with my truck.
and what's yesterday, whenever I had got in, and I guess Scott texted, I guess that's where I heard that from, when he was telling us about the crazy weather. And I read that and I was like, what the hell is this boy on? I'm like, it is freaking 200 degrees out here and not a breath of wind. Right. And I walked out the back door. I'm like, what is this boy looking at? And when I walked out there, it was right when it hit, and the dust cloud blew through here, and it did the same thing. It was blowing garbage cans down the street. It went.
Oh, baby.
Yeah.
That's the wind.
So
that's the wind graph.
It probably hit us
straight down.
Yeah, it hit us like 45 minutes, an hour after. I mean, it might not have been quite that long.
And that was the air temperature.
Yeah.
It went down to nothing.
Yeah.
Air temperature went from 87 to 72.
Just like that.
Immediately.
It was coming down from it's cold up there in the stratosphere.
But again, that like, just for our purposes, our listeners too, like, that's summer, man. Like I said, I can't tell you for sure that I would have been looking at that radar. Maybe the clouds would have given me a little bit of a hint, but maybe then it's too late. Because you coming back into that stuff on the water.
So did you have it behind you at least as you were running?
No, I was having to run into it.
Ooh.
It was coming from the north, and I was in the south.
Yeah.
Ooh, hey.
Yeah.
And all I was doing was I was watching the water tower, Port O'Connor water tower. And I was like, man, if that water tower disappears, I'm in real trouble.
Yeah.
And I got to the dock before it disappeared.
Well, and that's what you got to kind of keep your head on a swivel about, because that totally unexpected, completely unexpected. Let's talk about taking your game to another level. Let's talk about Sawgrass Rods. If you haven't heard, they're taking over the inshore, offshore, and fly rod game. Sawgrass Rods, Colin Zillich, the whole gang over there are going to make sure that you've got the right rod. We throw Sawgrass rods, and Sawgrass is the next level of rod. I'm telling you, when you order a Sawgrass rod, if you don't like what you ordered, return it. They'll pay for the shipping. That's the way it is, and that's the way you can trust Sawgrass Rods, sawgrassrods.com. All right, so let's get into this this topic here. And again, you got to set your ego on the side, because I was chatting with the fella at Master Hitch, Scott Pinkley. I was over there just getting some stuff done, and he was asking me what my best oh no trailering story is. And mine's probably about 15, maybe a little more years old now. But we all have those trailering stories, and we talk about boating a lot, but not the oh no. I have two, and I think I told one of them on this several years ago with Scott. It might have just been Scott and I. So I was driving. This is when I was trailering my boat to Trinity Bay every week, and I'm going through Liberty, and sure enough, I'm going there. I can see the McDonald's right now. There's a McDonald's to my right, and I'm driving, and I just hear crash, and the back of my truck just starts going like this. And I actually played it. I was pretty proud of how I played it. I tapped the brakes, let go, tap the brakes, let go, just so it wouldn't hit me, but also I could let it slow down. The hitch came off the knob, and the trailer was just holding on with the safety chains, and I was just dragging my trailer the whole time. And so right over the rail, I got over the railroad tracks there, and pulled to the side by that McDonald's. And if you ever tried to lift a tongue with your hands, it's not easy. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do, to put back on the. I forgot to clip it. Just flat out forgot to snap it in place. Rookie mistake. That was one. The other one I felt so bad about. I still feel bad about. It was when I was in my old Scout, and I think we were going to Sabine, and my daughter had been wanting to fish. Leah had been wanting to fish with me and fish. She was in high school. She had a spring break or whatever it was, day off. And I said, let's go. We're good to go. Got everything set up. Got her all hooked up. We're not even 5 miles from the house. And she looks in the rearview mirror and she goes, Dad, is that smoke coming out of the wheel? I said, oh, shit. I was like, oh, crap. Just a big old whatever it was that burned up in there, the wheel, the bearing, and whatever it was. And so that fishing trip that she'd been looking forward to for like weeks, we just turned around right there and got it done. But we have those. What's your oh no fish trailering story, boys?
I've lost one off the ball, and you're right. It's a hell of a happening. But it's really best to pull over right after, because then you can use some of that adrenaline to get that thing picked back up.
I had no idea it was going to be that hard. Yeah. Some guy came out of the McDonald's to help me pull it up. Yeah.
There ain't no way I could pick my boat up. Hell, I have a hard time picking up the trailer when it's empty, when the boat's not on there.
Yeah,
to put the thing on the bow. The best one I've got. Luckily, the 2 times that I had incidents like that, they were at slow speed. One could have been dangerous. One was quite humorous. One was driving through Aransas Pass, and a wheel bearing went out, and it went out so quick, so bad that the wheel was wobbling. I mean, it wasn't making noise. It gave me no warning. And as I turned a corner, it must have just put it in a bind enough where it bent, or it just knocked the outer past the nut to where the wheel came out halfway on the spindle, and it was wobbling around. And I mean, it was like in a side road where I could pull over, but it was one of those deals where I wasn't going any further. I went home, got tools, jack, auto parts, and ended up sitting on the side of the road replacing bearings and spindle. But the funniest one, and I've told this story before, but it's worth telling again. So I backed up to the boat ramp, and my Scout it's flat, so you can run it up on the boards, and you don't have to attach the hook. If you go nice and slow up the boat ramp, you can just run the boat on the trailer, get in the truck, and pull it up. So I get in the truck, and as I'm pulling up, my buddy Alberto from Italy was standing there looking at me. He was walking up the sidewalk.
Oh, they were in town.
And he's talking to me. And so I'm in the truck. And as I'm pulling up the ramp, he turns around with this shocked look towards the boat. And I look in the mirror, and all of a sudden, whoa, there's no boat on the trailer any longer. And it slid. I went too fast up the ramp, and the boat slid completely off of the trailer. It was half cement, half water, and it was close enough to the water where we could actually go to it.
Yeah, but you're scraping. You're scraping.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I put some good scratches on it, but it was still close enough where two of us could go push the boat back in the water. And ever since then, I have put the hook on that.
No kidding.
I learned a lesson that day. But yeah, it was crazy, man. I was like, day's over, man. We're fixing to go have a nice little evening. And I'm going up the ramp, and boom, boat's sitting on the cement.
Scott, you've trailered a lot.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, Dad and I were bringing the boat back home. We'd fished all day. We'd fished every chance we got. And I remember pulling up, and then he was going to back it into the driveway. And as he made the turn to back it into the driveway, the wheel fell off. The bearings had busted. We made it all the way to the house. And it did it right in the driveway, right on, half on the driveway, half in the street.
Oh, hell, I'll take that in a heartbeat.
It was really nice and easy. But the worst one was, I think I've told you that before. When I was running that ranch down in Refugio, they had a boat there. And it was way up on top of a hill, and it went way downhill to a 60-acre lake, and then they had a little boat ramp down on the Aransas River, and it was pretty damn steep hill. Had a wire catch fence, like goat fence across there. And I was sitting up there, and I needed to move that boat out of the way for something. I don't remember what it was. I hooked it onto the truck, and that thing had a terrible hitch on it. It was an old boat, old trailer. And I couldn't get the thing to latch. Couldn't get it to go down. I said, I'm just moving it around on the parking lot,
Easy.
It's a driveway. It won't be a big deal.
Piece of cake.
As I made the turn, I felt the truck get light. And I look back, and the trailer has come off the hitch, and it's going downhill. And the way it was balanced, it was going downhill so fast that the front of the boat was staying up, and it wasn't digging in with the front of the hitch. It was just kind of skimming along there, and it went down the hill.
And it was going down the flats.
And it hit that fence after about 50 yards of going downhill. And I thought, okay, the fence is going to catch it, right? Nah, it just took the whole fence with it and just smashed through the fence. Well, then it's going down the hill, and there's a big old, huge, gigantic mesquite tree. And it's going right straight at it, and it's picking up speed. It's getting faster. And I was like, no. And it veered a little bit left, and it went around that tree and went around the next tree. And then it slowly ran into the last tree and just barely hit it when it hit the bottom of the hill and then flattened out. But all I could see was that thing continuing on to the river. The river wasn't that much further. I was thinking, it's going to launch the boat,
the trailer,
everything into the river.
How'd they launch that? I want to know how that guy launched that boat.
Man, it went so far. I'm surprised you didn't come to the next hill.
It was just downhill the whole damn way, and luckily that trailer hitch finally started catching a little bit. It slowed it down enough where it didn't go in the river. But the whole time I was just sitting there scratching my head as it was going, thinking, how am I going to explain this?
Yeah, well, you did. You had to explain it.
I've been talking about the idiots that come out here and tear up stuff for 6 months, and here I am.
I just went down there, hitched it back up to the truck, latched it, and then I went and fixed fence for the rest of the day.
And so the thought of how am I going to explain this, didn't the thought of how am I going to get this out of the river override any of that?
Well, he parked at the top of the hill watching the whole thing happen. It was just like slow motion, but it was going pretty fast. I was thinking, man, this sucks. This sucks really, really bad. And then it turned out it didn't hurt anything, didn't mess the fence up, but hell, I had
just hit the tongue of the trailer, right?
Yeah, and he just wrapped it around the tongue of the trailer and just drug about, I don't know, 100 yards of fence with it all the way down the hill.
I can Scott's face in my mind looks like Ferris Bueller when he's taking miles off his dad's car.
Yeah. It's not working. It's not working. And this is why, like, we've all seen those videos, you know, like somebody on a highway and then there's a boat just passing them, you know, by itself.
Oh, yeah.
I never really like laugh too much at those because, like, if not by the grace of God, you know, like it can happen to anyone. It can absolutely happen to anyone.
Man, in spring break down here, it happens all the time because people, their boats have been setting, and that's whenever they do road trips from a long ways. And guaranteed, somewhere around here during spring break, there's going to be one that completely comes off, goes zooming through traffic. A buddy of mine launched, which Scott knows, Clip Collins. Remember Clip?
Mm-hmm.
He was pulling out at Crabman, which they used to have a ramp there. And Clip, if you knew Clip, this story would not surprise anybody. He had his the hook attached to the boat, but he didn't clip the winch. So as he's going down the causeway, his boat slides off the trailer, and instead of his truck getting light, it got heavy all of a sudden. He was like, so he started pushing the gas harder and harder. He was like, why is this thing not running? He's dragging his boat on the cement. It's still off the trailer, but it's still attached to the strap and going down the road. And it was not a big boat. It was like an 18-footer, not real heavy. But yeah, slid off the trailer and he hit the gas and he drug that thing almost the length of the causeway. But Clip was an interesting character, man. So, but
saw one at the boat ramp one day when somebody was pulling out, and apparently they hadn't latched the latch on their trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And as they got to the top of the ramp, they did that little breakover point. It just popped up, and the whole boat and trailer and everything just rolled back in the water. Well, it wasn't hooked on to the trailer good, and the trailer just sank under the boat. The boat's just floating there. The boat was fine. The trailer was a little tough to get out of there, though.
And the first thing I do, I'm sure everybody does, when something embarrassing like that happens, you put your head on a swivel and you're like, did anybody see that? I hope nobody saw that.
Scott, were you with me in Florida when we came up and that dude launched his boat and it slid out in the channel? We pulled it back in kayaks.
Yeah.
Yeah. We come paddling around the corner and the boat's out there floating in this creek, and the dude's standing there on the bank and actually kayak towed a boat back to the ramp.
Jeez. All right. So here's questions we got. You know what? Let's go to the co-hosts here. Would you rather do clearing the inbox from listeners, or why live and dead baits are more effective this year? We're gonna do them both, but I'm gonna go to the co-hosts here. What do you want to do?
What's the question?
We get to clear the inbox.
Clear the inbox from listeners, or why live and
sounded important, and I was typing. I had a thought somewhere else for them, and I feel like I missed something really important there.
Caleb?
Dean's thought was 4 words: worked at the college. That's what threw him off. Just to throw you off there.
No, there were other comments above that.
Let's clear the inbox, John. That sounds good. Since mine will never ever get cleared, let's clear this one.
Let's clear the inbox. This is just scatter shooting questions that may not be a full-fledged topic, but I'm sure you guys have some thoughts on. First question from the inbox. Hop in however you want. Give me the forefinger. The forefinger, I said, not the other. If you have a quick thought on this. Why? Not 4 fingers, Caleb. The forefinger, not that finger, Dean. Why is the beachfront? Why is the beachfront better fishing if the water temperatures are just as high?
Because
Scott. He's a rule follower.
I followed the rules.
Yeah.
But you got more oxygen there. You know, the oxygen's the big kicker on the backwaters when it gets that hot. There's just no dissolved oxygen in that water when it's not flowing around much in those back lakes. And the hotter it gets, the lower the oxygen gets, the less the fish want to move. Beachfront, you got wind and waves, and you got deep water. there's more than enough oxygen to keep them moving. Plus, all of our fish that are out there are more pelagic species, and they like the warmer water.
That's Dean's word.
Pelagic.
Pelagic. That's a much more thorough answer than the one I gave him. I said waves. Waves will do it.
Because.
Yeah. All right.
Waves?
Waves, because it oxygenates the water a little better. Yeah. That's my thought anyway. Scott agreed in a more thorough manner. You guys talk about fishing drop-offs, but also waiting this time of year. How do those two things go together when a lot of times you're waiting in shallow water? Go ahead, Scott. No, let Caleb raise 4 fingers. Go ahead, Caleb.
You wade near the drop-off.
That was my first thought, but he said a lot of times it's just not.
Well, what's the severity of the drop off? Are we going from 6 feet to 12 feet? Or are we going from 2 feet to 6 feet? And what me and Scott and Dean quite often are talking about is the 2 feet to 4 or 5 feet scenario,
or 1.5 to 3 feet.
Yeah, and so therefore, weighting it, I feel like you could fish it much more thoroughly because A, you're quiet, or B, you could be power pulled down or whatever, but weighting it, you can kind of move up and down that drop off and fish it. So I personally think weighting a drop off is the most efficient way to fish it.
That's true, Dean. One thing that I was thinking, and I didn't answer this one, but I knew you guys would. I still think there are fish there, but when you're waiting, you might be just a little more thorough.
You're definitely more thorough if you're wade fishing and you're quiet. Whenever I'm pulling down in the skiff, I am covering more area. You're easily mobile. So, I mean, there's pros and cons to both of those things. Wade fishing is definitely stealthier. It's quiet. It's thorough. It's patient. With the boat, I'm more impatient. I'm more likely to cover more area and move faster.
Scott, you got anything?
Just the way he had asked it, it was kind of funny to me.
Yeah.
Well, how do you put it? You guys talk about fishing drop-offs, but also wading this time of year. How do those two things go together? Well, you wait until you can't. If it goes over your head, back up.
I hadn't thought of that. When you're casting like this, and we've all done that, it's time to maybe back off a little bit.
When you slide off that edge, there's your drop-off.
Yeah. All right, here's a good one. Is casting distance more important in the summertime? And he actually put a little context there. My buddy was out casting me by 5 or 10 yards last week and caught more fish. Am I reading too much into distance?
So that might be why I catch more fish than Dean and Scott every time I fish with them. Now that you mention it,
blah blah blah. So we need more context. Were those flats or was that a drop off?
I don't know. Yeah.
On the flats, I would say no, that it's not that important. But if you're fishing the edges of the drop off and there is a grass bed out further, if there's a little hump that he's reaching, then yeah. I mean, you're not getting to that sweet spot.
Go ahead, Caleb.
The real solution to it is watch him. Is he catching them on the end of his cast? If he's catching them where you can't cast to, walk up 5 to 10 yards or something. Because like Dean said, I feel like he's reaching. He's either reaching something you can't reach, or he just working his lure or has the right lure or something like that. Yeah. I don't think that distance is that big of a deal. Dean and Scott, neither one of them cast very far, and they catch plenty of fish.
And here's something that may relate to that, because lately fishing the deeper water with soft plastics has been very technique oriented. They've really been closer to the bottom. So the trick has been to cast, let that thing sink. If you're fishing in 5 or 6 feet of water, you let it sink. You want it to touch the bottom before you start your retrieve. Then a couple of really sharp strikes, boom, boom, boom. You make some noise with it, let it settle back down to the bottom. The casts that have stayed attached to the bottom, not working it up in the column, have been getting hit. So much like Caleb said, it could have been way more technique than distance.
Yeah, and Scott, that ties in with what I was going to ask you as a follow-up on this. One thing that I thought of on this is, don't watch where his lure is landing, watch how he's working the lure. because maybe that might be as much as anything.
Yeah, watch how he's working, but also, if he's catching the fish closer in, where you are casting, you can make up for a little bit of distance by throwing out there and free spooling once it hits the water and let it settle straight down. If they're deep, like Dean's talking about, they're down on the bottom. Say you're knee deep throwing on a drop off that's 4 or 5 feet.
Mm-hmm.
Just free spool it and let it fall straight down. If you click it immediately, then it swings back towards you, and you're going to lose a few feet there with that swing. But yeah, I mean, you got to watch what he's doing more than just the cast.
Yes, that's what I said.
Just the distances and everything.
All right, go ahead.
What you do is you watch, and where he's catching the fish at, you cast there.
That's what Caleb does.
Dean, I don't know about that. I think I've seen you do that to me a couple times.
I watch Dean's top water like a hawk, and if there is the slightest disturbance around it, there's a plastic falling 2 feet behind it.
Yeah, we're out there drifting. Caleb's not even casting. I'm over there, boom, boom, man. I'm working it. He waits for a blow up behind my lure, and then zing, here it comes.
Man, I had
Dean, you're one to talk.
Yeah, I know. Dean's
I can't tell you how many times.
Exactly. Dean does that. Like I'll have a blow up, and
we're not talking about me right now. We're talking about Caleb.
And he just turns and casts sideways. I'm like, oh Lord. I had the coolest blow up on a podcast. On a topwater the other day, and I know you guys have had them. I've had a few over the years, but how they chase the topwater. The whole fish was out of the water at least 3 feet behind my lure. I mean, it was at least maybe 4. I mean, you could see the back, like his shoulders, just the whole way. And I actually said, here he comes. And right on cue, he just exploded on that thing. That was the coolest. I wish I had a video of that. I mean,
if you had the light in your favor, there's days you can see their eyeballs.
Yeah.
Right at the water line.
If I was fishing with you, I'd have got a plastic between you and that top water right by the time you said, here he comes.
And that was all day yesterday in the morning. At first light, I mean, they were blowing up the top waters. It was just stupid good.
Yeah.
And then as the sun got up just a little bit, they started smacking them a little and then slowing it down. And then, they weren't just crushing it. They weren't committing to it anymore. And I was up on that polling platform thinking, man, if I had a soft plastic, I'd be catching the hell out of fish right now.
Yeah. It was good. It looked like a submarine
right in there.
Scott was thinking, he's like, if I had a plastic, I'd be catching all of these people's fish right now.
All right, one more. If you can't help your friends out.
Exactly. All right, this is the last one to clear the inbox. And by the way, you can message me however you want: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Lopez on Sports on Instagram and Twitter, and of course message me on the group page, direct message, whatever. Here's one more clear in the inbox. Scott, I'm gonna start with you on this one, but I know you all have experience with this. I do not have a trolling motor or spot lock. What are my options to stay at or near the jetties when I'm fishing the jetties?
Buy one.
We haven't always had.
I mean, that honest answer, buy one, because I did the thing with the anchors forever. Yeah, you talk about miserable. I mean, it changed the whole game getting a trolling motor with spotlight. I mean, that absolutely changed the game. And there was still a lot of guides around here, even when that came along, that were still doing the anchor at the jetties. If you try anchoring at the jetties, you better bring 2 or 3 anchors. You ain't getting them all. You ain't bringing them all home. And your boat's going to swing, with the tides and the crazy, the winds and the tide moves different directions.
Yep.
And there's just not a lot of good ways to pull it off.
Mm-hmm.
The old days, we used to, we'd take a Clorox bottle, fill it with concrete, and have it on a rope and sling it up there into the rocks and get it wedged in between the rocks off the bow, and then back the boater up and then drop an anchor off the back end of the boat. And then that would hold it still.
You need a lot of rope.
Yeah. Well, and then you pull all the way up to the jetties and you cut your rope on your Clorox bottle, and then you're leaving trash out there. But that was the best way to go about it back then, as far as being able to hold still and be in one spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, anchoring at the jetties, man, I can't tell you how many anchors I lost.
Yep.
Bunch of them.
Dean, you're old school jetty. Same thing?
Yeah, Scott actually he stole my line because I was fixing to say you better bring more than one anchor because it ain't coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how many anchors are on the bottom of that damn jetty?
Right by the jetties, yeah.
I mean,
There used to be some guys out of Galveston that were divers, and they would go out there and dive the jetties and go down there and get anchors out and resell them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get so much current and wind changing and boat wakes, and that's just.
How many times has the current and the wind stayed the same for more than half an hour when you're on the jetties? It's inevitable. It's inevitable.
If you're even going to go without a spotlight, without the spot lock, just the troll motor, you're going to have one person designated to monitoring that button because you're not going to fish and keep your boat in position while you're not going to run the troll motor and fish at the same time. It requires that much attention to keep it where you want it to be.
Yeah. All right, let's get to what would the boys do. A couple other things here on the Feeding Frenzy. We have the menu set. It's going to be fajitas and sausage. So we got your first 200 meals. That's already been done. I think we're pushing 300 RSVPs. Don't forget to go to the Facebook page, and you can see all the cool stuff. Literally, I just got an email from someone who was talking about donating something. I haven't read it yet because we're doing the show. So if something else just came in, it's unbelievable. And I did speak for Caleb and Dean, and we can adjust maybe that one of those live auction or both of those live auction trips. We have houses in Port O'Connor, house in Matagorda, which, by the way, that came courtesy of Lower Colorado River Authority, Caleb. They're going to donate 2 bungalows at their state parks or one of the state parks, so right there in the Matagorda area.
Good place to be at.
It's a great place. So how about that? Lower Colorado River Authority came through. So I spoke for you guys and said you could throw a trip in, which I know you always do anyway, but I hope it wasn't. Are we good? You good? Throw a trip in Port O'Connor, trip into Matagorda with those stays?
Well, we'd be a real asshole if we said no now.
You would. That's why I said it on the air.
I'm going to go ahead on and say that Caleb and Scott are going to donate a trip to
There you go. So that just leaves Dean, but we'll get to that maybe next week. All right. What would you do? You know what? Go on the Facebook page. Do that.
I talked Scott into donating a second one last year.
You sure did.
That was both after we were about 10 beers in because people kept putting beer in my hand.
Oh, did I say open bar? Yeah, open bar as well. So it's getting exciting. We're getting a bunch of stuff popping just over a month away. So get your RSVPs in. All right, fish forecast.
It was gone in a flash.
It was gone in a flash. Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. What are we going to do this weekend? What's the wind going to do? What are the strategy here? Dean, I'll start with you. Actually, Caleb, I'll start with you. You look ready to go.
Looks a little choppy in the surf, so it's back to your summertime stuff. If you wade early, late, I'd drift deeper water. If I had a river, actually, I need to go check the river. The river might be good by now.
Yeah.
If I had a river or something, deeper water, river, jetties, something like that, I'd probably be inclined to go fish that. Deeper water, unless it's early or late. Plastics probably kind of low, like Dean said. Top waters at daylight and right at the hour before dark. That's pretty well what we're going to be doing for a good while until we start talking about a cold front.
Yeah,
I got less than
go ahead.
5. I got less than 5 mile an hour wind every morning for this week.
Yeah, and I'm looking at Saturday. It's the high wind until about noon is 9 miles an hour.
Yeah, I'm talking about it's more like one plus foot waves at like 3 to 5.
Oh, gotcha.
Seconds. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm going to the jetties tomorrow because it looks really, really good for that option tomorrow morning. And then, like I said earlier, I mean, there's so many good options right now. The tide it's coming up to the full moon. We're like the week before the full moon now. So we have really great tides, high tide in the morning, going out, pretty quick, 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, it starts turning. So, before it gets to the heat of the day, you just have amazing options to drive. Right now with me, man, it's hard to pick one because the first 2 hours of the day is when I feel I have my best chance. The first 2 hours from 6 to 8 o'clock, I'm just excited. I'm just giddy. for those 2 hours. I mean, the mullet are jumping on the flats. So, you have to pick. Do you want to go to the drop-offs for those trout early? Do you want to hit the flats for redfish early? Do you want to hit them jetties for them kingfish? So I just wish there was 3 of me.
The rest of us are glad there's not. Scott, I know I don't know what you're going to be doing, what you're going to say, but I know the beachfront and offshore is probably in your future.
Well, yesterday I polled with these guys. Today we did the beachfront thing, and tomorrow they want to go wading.
Okay.
And since they want to go back on those reds that we were getting on the top waters, but since I have a polling skiff and there's 4 of them, we're not going to be able to do that from the polling skiff. So they've convinced me that we can go wading, and so I'm going to run a wading trip tomorrow morning, and then Thursday I don't have anything going, but then Friday I'm back to beachfront and tarpon, and then Saturday I'm back to Poland again. So it's whatever you want to do right now as far as the fishing goes, because the winds are light southeast, conditions are good. It just got to, like Dean said, you got to get it done early. If you're fishing in the bay, you got to have it done by 10 o'clock, and that's it.
I've gotten a text from Dean about waiting on Thursday. Now I'm hearing Scott talk about waiting. This website's getting, this podcast getting weird, man.
Yeah, it's the bizarro world right now.
I do tonight on Angler U, for you guys that feel like you don't need any instruction and everything, and that's cool. That's great. I've got another way to get your $5 a week. I have Coleman Todd, director of the Star Tournament, coming on tonight. So if you love the CCA or hate the CCA, for $5, you can come tell him about it. Now, I prefer you to be nice, but $5 is $5.
Yeah, it is. It is. Well, all right. Great show, man. I had fun today, and we covered a lot.
One more thing to add, though. Tonight in at the Poor Mads Country Club in Rockport, the CCA Anglers Night Out has what was her name? The tarpon snook girl, Melissa, Elizabeth,
Alyssa something.
Terrell, something Terrell. She's the guest speaker. She's the speaker at Poor Man's Country Club, 7 o'clock tonight in Rockport at CCA Night Out.
Yeah, and she is brilliant when it comes to tarpon. Scott missed that one, but she is fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And I'm looking at it right now, and I can't remember either. I wish I could.
Her last name's Tiller. We went to high school with her dad.
Tiller, yeah,
Isabella
Tiller.
Yeah.
Isabel Tiller. That's it.
I was close on both of them.
Yeah, Melissa's close to Isabel.
I remembered how smart and interesting she was.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna go over there and check that out this evening.
And book our guy.
CCA.
Scott just said he has an opening Thursday. Put that man to work. He needs to work. Book Scott, book Dean, book Caleb. You will be glad you did, and you can have your own little private podcast out there, which I know they do when they get out there with our listeners. So, all right, boys, the great show, fun show. Don't forget about the group page and RSVPs and all that good stuff. You guys have a great week, fantastic weekend. Catch them up. We'll talk to you next time.
Don't be judging my offshore boat sitting on the flats tomorrow.